Hey, it's Don't At Me with Dan Dakich, your favorite morning show with your favorite host. I don't know who that would be, but apparently I think it's me. Man, we got a lot to get to. You know, you think it's just a Wednesday night, Thursday morning, and a Final Four week, and we're all supposed to just kind of get ready for Duke, Carolina, listen to Dickie V go like this, but all of a sudden, the news broke last night that Bruce Arians is stepping down. Now, you got to understand about Bruce Arians. When he was here in Indianapolis, everybody in the building, and I mean this sincerely, everybody in the building wanted Bruce Arians to take over as the head coach. Now, Chuck Pagano was battling cancer, and there was a big deal called Chuck Strong. And Chuck Strong became Chuck Stay and all this kind of stuff. Pagano was beloved here, but Bruce Arians was the guy that everybody in that building knew was the head coach and should have been the head coach. But you can't do that. I mean, Pagano was just getting the job, but all Arians did when he became the interim head coach of the Indianapolis Colts was take the Colts to the playoffs, and he did a hell of a job. He really did, and he was the NFL's Coach of the Year as an interim head coach, and obviously that led to Arizona, and that then led to Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it's fascinating, really, because when you look at the life and coaching career of Bruce Arians, he was a longtime assistant, and he got fired by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers said, no bueno, out. Gets picked up by Pagano, ends up in Indy, and the rest is history. It is interesting because there is a feeling in coaching that when you get fired, a better job awaits. And you just saw it in the career of Bruce Arians, but you're also seeing it with Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles is 24-40. 24-40. As a head coach. Now, we're all supposed to praise Todd Bowles as the hiring because it's diverse, blah, 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 blah. All right? That's fine. That's great. But he was 24-40. That's what he was. You can't get around that. 24-40. Anyway, long story short, they hire this guy as the head coach. Arians out. And now, of course, it becomes, is Tom Brady going to get dealt? Let me give you the answer to that. Oh, hell no. Look me in the face here. I am not a media person. I am an entertainer. You watch this for information and entertainment. All right? Media people lie to you. Media people are stupid. And when I say stupid, I mean with a capital oopid. They take the easy route. Well, Bowles would want his own start. Well, Arians quit because of Tom Brady. Here's the deal. When you've actually been in these locker rooms for more than just to take a picture or for more than just to ask a question, you understand these things don't happen in a vacuum. They don't happen in a vacuum. There are relationships. There are conversations. And some idiot that writes for some idiotic blog telling you that these two don't like each other, bunk. It's bunk. Man, Brady's not going nowhere. The Bucs aren't going anywhere under Bowles unless Brady puts a superhuman effort together. In 3 years, Bowles will be fired because Brady will be gone and they won't have a quarterback. I'm just telling you how the world goes. Unless, of course, Brady loses his mind at 72 years old and leads them to a Super Bowl, which who knows? But at the end of the day, good for Bruce Arians. 69 years old, smokes cigars, drinks scotch. He ain't in the front office. Ain't no front office job for him. Hell no. He ain't going to the front office. What's he going to do? Sit in a meeting and go, let me check my phone and see when the next deal. No way. He's going to wear his hat, smoke cigars, drink beers, and go play golf. If he's smart. I mean, if he's dumb, then he won't do that. But if he's smart, that's what he'll do. So don't believe anything you read. Seriously, don't believe anything you read. Don't believe even for a second this has anything to do with Brady. This is just a natural course. Look, if it were up to the NFL, every coach would either be a woman, an African-American, a transgender. Let's be honest. That's what they want. They just put a thing out yesterday or 2 days ago. So this hiring, and I'm sure Bowles is great. We'll see. 24-40. What does Parcells say? Except in this case, because everybody's arguing with me. Well, he did. Okay, great. Bill Parcells said, you are what your record says you are. I've always said that's crap, but hey, what do I know? The idea, 24-40, he's the head coach. Brady's got a year. We'll see what happens. All right? There you go. I'm all in on that too, by the way. I want to see, this would be really interesting. Let's think of it this way. So Brady with Belichick wins Super Bowls. Brady with a guy everybody consider is a great coach in Arians wins the Super Bowl. Brady with a guy that has been a horse bleep coach as a head coach, 24-40 says that, he wins the Super Bowl with Bowles? Woo, mama. Now you're talking. Now you're already talking. He's already the GOAT. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. You know what I mean? But the truth of the matter is, you win a Super Bowl with Todd frickin' Bowles as your head coach? Stop it. I don't even want Peyton Manning in a conversation. He needs to go sit over there at the kids' table. If Tom Brady does it with 24-40, that'll be interesting. That'll be fascinating. No, really, that will be something. Is Brady on the market? Let me give you 2 words. Oh, hell no. Market? So let's take this from a personal level. So Tom Brady decides he's going to move his family down to Tampa. And Tom Brady, look, if Deshaun Watson can decide where the hell he goes, he of 22 civil cases, and by the way, I still haven't heard from the women of Cleveland. If Deshaun Watson can determine where he goes, you don't think Tom Brady can? You think Tom Brady's ownership wants Tom Brady gone and let 24-40, this coach on his own with who? Blaine Gabbert? Who? This guy Bowles? Without Tom Brady? You can't be serious. That's why I'm like, well, Brady's the next to be dealt. If I'm the Buccaneers ownership, not only am I not dealing Tom Brady, but I'm sitting there going, man, we got 24-40 coaching us. Oh, hell. Damn. We're keeping Brady. We're getting Gronk back. Is Edelman ready? What's Teddy Bruschi doing? I'm getting a band back together. I'm not letting this franchise at 24-40. Are you out of your mind? Come on. And he may be the greatest coach ever. I'm sure everybody's going to tell me this. I haven't looked at Twitter, and I'm sure I'm going to be a called-in-ist, right? I'm sure, Belichick was 36-44. Great. How many Belichicks have there been? I don't know. There have been a lot of guys, 24-40, that got jobs in these situations where a guy steps down that haven't done squat 3 years, he's out. And you can call me whatever you want. I'm just going by history. Brady's going to play 1 year. They'll be all right. 2 years, they'll stink. He'll be out. And then, he'll have to figure it out. But I'm anxious to see this because I would love to see Todd Bowles succeed. I would love to see this. I would love to see it. Love it. Because I like redemption stories, but I'm just giving you facts. I'm just giving you the way I've seen it in the past, and you can get mad, glad, angry, or sad. But any idiot that shows up and says, oh, by the way, Tom Brady's going to be dealt. No, he ain't going to be dealt. 24-40. Did they have to interview candidates for that? I don't know. All right, the Final Four, ladies and gentlemen, here I am. Let me give you some numbers. Duke, North Carolina. I don't know if you saw the first game, but the first game was an ass kicking. First game was 87-67, and it was not that close. It wasn't. That was at Carolina. Duke won the game. It ended up 20, but it was 30. It was whatever Duke wanted it to be. 20 doesn't look nearly as bad as 28, right? I mean, it isn't, and it doesn't look nearly as bad, but that's what that was. That was 28 plus. So now they come back, and Duke decides, we're going to have 90 former players there. We're going to make this all about K. This is the culmination of the Love Me Tour. Mike Krzyzewski, I want your love. Love me. I want to be loved. Well, you got loved. You got Caleb Love. See what I did there? 4 guys in double figures. 4 guys in the 20s for North Carolina. North Carolina beats their ass. Now, if you're Hubert Davis, that's an awesome offseason. We beat K on K Day in Cameron, sending him out in his last home game with a loss. You're ready to do whatever you do in the tournament, and then you just have a great offseason. You go recruiting, you wax philosophic, you talk about how Carolina's back, and it's beautiful. This is missionary work, he said. That's what you do. Oh, boy. Sorry. You got to the Final Four. All right. Oh, you got to play Duke. I wonder if you really, really broke it down. I wonder how these guys both really feel. I think for Mike Krzyzewski, he's beyond all of this, right? His deal is, man, I'll go to the Final Four. And probably for Hubert Davis, I'll go to the Final Four and play whoever. And if you're Hubert Davis, what an opportunity, right? I've talked about this. Holy hell. You get the chance to not only knock out K at home on his last home game, but knock out K forever. However, at North Carolina, remember, Bill Guthridge would go to Final Fours like it was his job, and it was, and then they wanted him out of there. They're never going to want, I don't think ever going to want Hubert out of there because he's the best dude ever, and he's been to one Final Four in 1 year. However, losing this to North Carolina kind of negates the last home game. Doesn't take it away, but it kind of negates it. For Duke, oh, man, this is retribution. This is, man, we get a chance to erase this crap and eliminate our arch rival from any shot of a national championship in the first time we've ever played each other. This is freaking awesome if you're Carolina and if you're Duke. But from a Duke standpoint, it's retribution against one of the most historic wins in the history of North Carolina. Think about how hard that is. Think about how hard it is to have a historic win at North Carolina with all the winning they've done. But this is an opportunity to maybe have the most historic weekend in the history of North Carolina. Let's be honest. You knock Duke out first time you played them, you knock Coach K out forever, and you win a national championship. You tell me, Carolina fans, is there anything that could possibly be better than that? There is only one Coach K. There is only one opportunity to knock him out, and you have that chance. That's why I think this game at 8:49 on Saturday is going to be so good. So ridiculously good. It may be tight. Whoever cannot be tight is going to win this game. I think Duke's going to win the game. I'm going to give the 4. I think Duke's just a better team. And I think at some point, all these threes, and I mean big-time threes, particularly from Caleb Love, that they threw in, I don't think it's going to happen for them. I'm taking Duke. I think it's going to be a back-and-forth game. Then I think Duke eventually wins by 5, 6, 7. I think they're the better basketball team, and I think they're playing great. But the one thing, the one guy in this game, the one matchup in this game that is going to be fascinating for me, it may not determine the game. Everybody wants to say this matchup or that matchup will determine the game. This may not determine the game, but it's going to be fun to watch, is Mark Williams against Armando Bacot. Let me tell you something about Armando Bacot. He is playing his ass off. When he dove, saved the ball, flipped it back, it eventually got over on the right side to Caleb Love for the tying 3. One of the great plays in the NCAA tournament, if not the best play in this year's NCAA tournament. It saved the day for Carolina. Middle ball screen, all these different guards, whether it's Love or Davis or Black, coming off middle ball screen, playing two-man basketball in the center of the court with Bacot has been terrific, and it is an Achilles heel of Duke, except I think Mark Williams is playing great. I think Mark Williams against Bacot is the best matchup in this tournament. I think Mark Williams is a top 10 pick in the NBA draft. I have no idea if he is. I have no idea where all the little goofy dudes that never played, never coached, and don't know their ass from third base but are draft experts. I have no idea where they put Mark Williams, but I will tell you this. Mark Williams, to me, is a top 10 player in the NBA draft. He can get the ball in around the bucket. He's long as hell. He blocks shots, but he's going to have his hands full with a guy in Armando Bacot that's playing great. That is the matchup of this weekend. I think it's the best matchup of this weekend, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm taking Duke. I'm giving the 4, but I don't love it. If you told me North Carolina was going to win and asked me how they were going to win, I'll tell you. Same way they won at Duke. And that's this: middle ball screen, keep the ball moving, drive, and more drive. And frankly, if you really want to know the truth, it's no real different with Duke. If either team settles for quick jacked up threes, they're going to go on the team against them is going to go on a run. And both teams, North Carolina and Duke, will settle at different times for jacking up threes. Touch the paint either by throwing it into the post or driving it into the lane. You don't necessarily only have to touch the paint by throwing it on the block. Drive it, kick it, drive it again, kick it again. And once you get it in the paint, a lot of guys can lift up and make shots. A lot of guys can drop it down to a big. A lot of guys can kick it out for a 3. It's interesting to watch. If I, meaning Duke, or I, meaning Carolina, can keep my man in front of me and not need help, I'm going to have a good defensive game and we're going to win the game, but I don't think either team can. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think Duke wins it. I think Duke wins it by 5 or more. Next game is interesting, Villanova, Kansas. I'm going to throw some numbers at you. Look, I watch ESPN and I watch CBS, and you can tell an analyst that doesn't know his ass from third base when they just throw numbers at you sitting at a desk. And you got a lot of them. But let me throw a few at you. Here's what Kansas has done defensively. And, Kansas in this I'm sorry, let me go Villanova first. I want to go Villanova first. Because Justin Moore out, Villanova, I don't know if they're going to have a chance in this game, but let me go through the numbers. Justin Moore is a good defender, but he's not the best. Delaware scored 60. Ohio State scored 61. 55 is what Michigan scored. And then 44 is what Houston scored. Think about that in modern college basketball, where we're getting up and down the court, we're shooting threes, we got a shot clock, 60, 61, 55, and 44. Tell you this, Villanova's guard, very underrated. Or maybe they aren't underrated. Maybe they are rated. But I know this, they're guarding their ass off. So is Kansas. Kansas, 56, Texas Southern, 72 against Creighton. Tough game. Creighton was making shots. 61 and 50 with a 15-point second half for Miami. Let me go through some other numbers. You know Miami. This is interesting. Miami was only 3 of 31 from 3. Providence, 4 of 23 from 3. Those two numbers are interesting. You know why? Creighton shot a good number. If you can shoot and get open threes against Kansas, you can play Kansas. But if you can't get open threes, contested threes are hard, particularly in a dome. That's going to be a big deal in this game. Both teams can guard. Who's going to guard the 3 better? Both teams guard the 3. I wish Justin Moore was playing. If Justin Moore was playing, man, would I feel good about Villanova. But I just don't think Villanova's got enough offense without Justin Moore against a really good defensive team. I think Justin Moore's a shot maker. I think Justin Moore's a shot go-getter. But the truth of the matter is Kansas is going to guard you. Now, that doesn't mean this is going to be a rout. I don't think so. I think Kansas will win the game, and I think they'll cover. I think it's going to be Kansas, Duke, and I think both are going to cover. I think at last I saw, which was this morning, it was 4.5. Kansas was giving Villanova. I think they'll cover that fairly easy. And I do think their offense can get clicking, I do. But, man, that Kansas defense is damn good, and so is that Villanova defense. But I just think without Justin Moore, you got more playmakers. And with Remy Martin playing the way he plays, you got more guys that can go get shots, and I think that's what this game comes down to. You know, it's funny, when you talk to people that don't really know hoops and hate you on Twitter or hate you because you do a game and you're not nice to their team, when you talk about a team that can make shots, they show their ignorance and go, oh, really, Dan? I didn't know what the game is? No. The game is far more than just making shots. The game is about togetherness in tough times. But see, here's the deal with that. When we talk about togetherness in tough times in basketball, there's nobody tougher than Villanova. Last year, they played without Colin Gillespie. This year they're playing without Justin Moore. And I'm telling you, people say, well, you're an idiot. You're an absolute idiot. All right. I am an idiot. I'll take being an idiot. But the truth of the matter is, that's going to be big in this. Because all four teams are tough as hell. All four teams are mentally tough as hell. All four teams have something about their program. Their program. Internally, there's a thread throughout. You put that uniform on, and guess what? You got to play. You got to play in big moments. And if you don't play in big moments, you shouldn't have that shirt on. That's how all four, and you play for former players. You think those Duke former players, with all that brotherhood and all that stuff that they got going, walked out of Cameron Indoor Stadium feeling any good? No. No, after that loss to North Carolina. You think those North Carolina former players, after they watched their team get beat by 26, 28, actually just 20, felt good? No, and that's a big deal in these programs. Huge deal. You know, this is interesting. I want to go back to something with Arians. Trey Essex, who I really like. Trey Essex on Twitter says, hey, Dan, the Saints hired a coach with an 8-28 record, and the Raiders hired a coach with an 11-17 record. He's right. He's absolutely right. That's pretty good. That is absolutely pretty good. So I guess that's the new way in the NFL. Hire guys with bad records. Go get yourself a bad record, and we'll hire you. Shaheen Holloway took the Seton Hall job. Couldn't be happier. The more I learn about St. Peter's and how what's the right word? Unrealistic it is for them to get to the Elite Eight. Wow. People say Gonzaga. See, Gonzaga put a bunch of money into their program, and going back, I think it was 2000 or 2002. I think it was interesting. I think when you look at Gonzaga, they were building to this. Like they were building when Dan Munson was there. They were really good. They had a system in place of being on national TV and playing everybody. I'll be honest with you. I didn't know St. Peter's was in Jersey City. I didn't know St. Peter's, I knew it existed. I mean, I read the Bible. I know St. Peter denied Christ 3 times before they came and got him. But I didn't know where St. Peter's was. And I never saw him on national TV. Even Gonzaga back in the day, building to an Elite Eight before they became, what you know as Gonzaga, was building this. So what Shaheen Holloway did, and what Shaheen Holloway did in game, was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And, at the end of the day, good for him to go back home. I think it's a terrific hire. I don't know how it's going to work. Look, let's be honest. Villanova rules the roost in the Big East. The Big East's a tough job. Like Butler, get out of the Big East. But the truth of the matter is, when I watch Shaheen Holloway, how he conducted himself in interviews, how he coached, hell, he's great. I mean, let's be honest. Seton Hall's had some wild dudes. Danny Hurley was insane. Wasn't he the coach there? I think he was. I mean, now you got a guy who I think is tough, smart. If I were a player, I'd want to play for Shaheen Holloway. Hell yeah. Offensively, defensively, in-game, he might have been the best in-game coach. So good for Shaheen Holloway. Seriously, really good. Hell yeah. I mean, I swear to you, a lot of times you go to a MAC job or you go to a Missouri Valley job and people are talking about you, or you become a big-time assistant coach. When's the last time somebody from that league got a big-time job like that? It doesn't happen very often, but I'll tell you this. Shaheen Holloway got exactly what he deserved, man. So now you go to Seton Hall. Now you got a chance to, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if he can ever get Seton Hall back to an Elite Eight, because I'm telling you this, an Elite Eight is hard. Like, I'm going to go through this with y'all at Indiana. Indiana, bastion of basketball, right? 5 national championships. So they went to 5 Elite Eights, right? 1975, an Elite Eight. They didn't win a national championship. All right? 1973, Final Four. That's an Elite Eight. All right? 1992, right? I'm skipping 87. because he won a championship. That's one of the 5. 1992, Final Four, Elite 8. 1993, lost to Kansas in Elite 8. 1984, lost to Virginia in Elite 8. 2002, lost in the national championship in Elite 8. In the entire history of Indiana University men's basketball, they've been to 11 Elite 8s. That's it. Elite 8. That's all. 11. 5 national champions. 7 Final Fours. Is that right? Yeah. 7 Final Fours. That's 7. And then 4 other Elite 8s. In the entire, do you know how hard it is to get to an Elite 8? Look, one win into the Final Four propels your career as a player, as a coach, to a next level. But an Elite 8 ain't easy. People will just walk into Elite 8s, particularly at some place like St. Peter's. I mean, Indiana University has more advantages than St. Peter's today, tomorrow, the next day. They've been to 11. I think the first tournament was 1939 or 1940. So you're talking about 80 years. St. Peter's just went. It's pretty damn good. Don't discount an Elite 8 just because they got their brains beat out. It's like people discount Houston. Houston got their brains beat out last year by Baylor in the Final Four. When Tom Crean and Dwayne Wade went to the Final Four, people say, yeah, well, Kansas crushed them. Hey, do you know how hard it is to get to an Elite 8? Or even a Sweet 16? Hell, I could probably do the numbers on Indiana going to a Sweet 16 and ain't that many. I wonder how many Elite 8 Purdue's been to. Mackey Arena, toughest place. Matt Painter, one of the great coaches. I don't think it's many. They've been to 1 Final Four, 1 Elite 8 with Glenn Robinson, 1980 Final Four. Glenn Robinson, like 1984, a couple years ago against Virginia. I think they went once when Carson Cunningham was there. I lost like 22-20 against Wisconsin, man. I'm telling you, what Shaheen Holloway did, whew, damn. Damn. It's pretty good. It's really good. What the hell is anybody hiring a guy with an 8-28 record for? Anyway, we got a monster for you today. The main man, the head guy, Clay Travis, is joining us coming up here in 15 minutes at quarter till. Mike Lewis, head coach at Ball State. You know, he was at UCLA last year in the Final Four. I'm going to talk to him about coaching in the Final Four. My friend Jason Hammer, you know you love Hammer Time. Hammer Time is like, 70-2 picking games here. And then he blanks you off because he gets political, which is part of this show. Hey, it just is. But Jason Hammer is going to join us. We got a monster. You know what I haven't been today? I have not been on the YouTube chat. The YouTube chat is usually flying. It's rocking and rolling. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, there is a segment we do which is called I Ain't Mad About It. It's based on a player that I had, a goof named Jamarcus Ellis. Now, Jamarcus Ellis, I had to suspend him at Indiana. I think FERPA laws say why I can't say why I suspended. But anyway, I had to suspend him. And when I told him I was suspending him, you know what he said? Oh, Coach, I ain't mad about it. That's actually the culture of Kelvin Sampson. When players get suspended and they say, well, I ain't mad about it. I said, I'm mad about it. I said, hell, we're going to Penn State. We're trying to win something here, and you're dumbass, I got to suspend. So I was mad about it. But anyway, long story short, I ain't mad about it when we come back. We're going to talk about Joel Embiid. We're going to talk about Eric Church. We're going to talk about the women's Final Four. We're going to talk NFL. You do not want to miss I Ain't Mad About It because it might make you mad about it. That's right. Keep it right here. We'll be right back. Oh, we're rocking and rolling here today. Thank God for Tim Legler. Like, think about who you're listening to on ESPN trying to break down the NFL. NBA, excuse me. Some guard from Georgetown. Thank God for Tim Legler on ESPN's coverage. Thank God. I ain't mad about Tim Legler's coverage on ESPN. You finally have somebody that knows and has been there what the hell they're talking about. Look, you all can get offended. But me personally, just me, if you haven't played or coached, I ain't listening to you. I don't care why you were hired. I ain't listening to you. If you played, you coached, I'll listen. And if you're an idiot and you played and coached, I ain't listening to you. Wilbon talking about the NBA, I ain't listening. Not doing it. Jalen Rose talking about the NBA when he talks about the NBA a little bit, but I don't think he knows his ass from third base because I don't think he does any research. Jay Williams, same thing. Tell you this, Legler talks, I listen. Absolutely listen. It's like the NFL. I was listening to Diana Rossini today. I. It's not about you. It's about your reporting. I digress. Kaepernick is on his spring comeback tour. I don't understand it. I mean, if everybody's a slave that's in the NFL, why does Kaepernick so desperately want to be in there? A Nike money running out? Just make another documentary. People will watch. Jim Harbaugh, who was his coach, made him honorary captain of Michigan. That's got to make the woke folk happy. I wonder how the police feel about it. I don't know. All right. I ain't mad about it. Eric Church had a big concert. Eric Church, for those of you that don't know, is a country singer. Eric Church, a good country singer, damn good country singer, but Eric Church canceled his concert because he wants to watch North Carolina play Duke. Risky. Very risky. Look, I get it, you're a fan, but you're a fan. Game's over. You might be pissing a lot of people off. If I were an Eric Church fan, and I'd go see Eric Church, I wouldn't go pay big money. I wouldn't do it on I do a VIP with my wife once a year night to a concert. Usually it's Kid Rock. When Kid Rock opened with Kool and the Gang, it was off the chain, yo. But anyway, I don't know. I think that's bad business for Eric Church. I'm interested to see. A lot of fans are pissed. Now, they're getting a refund, and there's not going to be one little guy on SportsCenter or anywhere you see criticize it because we don't do that. We say, oh, look at what a big fan he is. I think what an idiot he is. You always watch a game. You know, you worked your whole life to get to a point where you got big-time concerts. Nobody really playing for North Carolina gives a rat's ass about you. No one playing for Duke gives a rat's ass about you. Nobody really at your concert gives a rat's ass about you except for your music. So why not just go play your music? I don't understand the world we live in. I'm upside down. Fanboys make me crazy. But, hey, look, Eric Church, as they say, you do you. But I think that's your do. To quote my great-grandfather's friend, Chick, who my grandfather got out of jail and let him work odd jobs and live in his house, hey, Darren, that's just dumb. Eric Church, that's just dumb. Joel Embiid. There are some players in the NBA that you sit there and you listen to and you take seriously. And one of those players is not Joel Embiid. One of those players, Steph Curry. Hey, Steph Curry, Draymond Green. Now, Draymond Green may talk crazy, but Draymond Green is a really smart basketball player. I'm listening to Draymond Green. I'm listening to Steph Curry. I'm listening to LeBron James. I'm listening, but I ain't listening to Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid seems to me to be kind of a goof. So when Joel Embiid comes out and he criticizes his coaches for not having the, quote, right game plan, match my minutes up to Giannis, he might have a point. Yeah, I don't know. He might have a point, but I got to tell you, that point gets diminished when I look at Joel Embiid and totality and say, well, he's just kind of a goof. He's just kind of a clown. That's the problem with being a clown. When you say something serious, people don't necessarily listen. So Joel Embiid criticizes his coach and criticizes the game plan. All right. That'd be like Shaq criticizing a game plan. When Shaq was in college, he did not. I remember we had an All-American named Alan Henderson. We beat Shaq. Shaq actually made 12 out of 12 free throws. You can look it up. But Shaq didn't know who number 44 was. Well, he's a first-team All-American or second, whatever. His name was Alan Henderson. Just didn't know the game plan, didn't know the opponent, which is fine. Do you. But when Embiid talks, I don't know. I just don't pay attention to it. I don't know why. I just don't. And I saw him criticize, and I thought, how stupid are you? The women's Final Four. Here's the deal with the women's Final Four. It is absolute must-see TV. I'm going to watch the women's Final Four for a couple reasons. Number one, I enjoyed the competitiveness. I love that Paige Beckers is balling. Now, she got a new NIL deal. Good for Paige. But Paige Beckers is fun to watch. And Louisville against South Carolina, like Dawn Staley's feisty. You know, she's like that walk-on, that third-string walk-on guy that comes out there and he's all defense, but she's a tough-ass coach too. And her team against Louisville, who has a tough-ass coach as well, Jeff Waltz, that's going to be a hell of a game. I can't wait to watch. I can't wait to watch UConn Stanford. You talk about iconic, last year's national champions, Stanford Cardinals, Tara Vanderveer, against Gino Auriemma. Look, hey, I understand we all get tied up, and rightfully so, in who has what, what's my locker room look like, weight room, all that kind of stuff, and that's great. We should. But the truth of the matter is I like watching these teams play. I don't think the basketball is great. I'm not going to lie to you, and I'll probably get crushed for that. I don't think, like I've seen shots hit the bottom of the backboard. I mean, whatever. But I do think that the competition is awesome. And I do think watching Paige Beckers is really a lot of fun. I do think watching Aaliyah Boston is really a lot of fun. And the lady, I don't know, again, you got to say the right words. Or unless you have 22 civil suits against you, you know, only the person with 22 civil suits does anybody not come at. But a 59-year-old bald white guy, if I say the wrong name. So the young ladies or the older ladies, I don't know, which way do I do it? I can't decide. What do I do? What do I do? The women playing for, Louisville. I got to make sure I say it right. I actually said the word bitchin' to a couple of guys and a lady, and people lost their mind on it. Anyway, Van Hilden, or whatever the heck her name is, at 29-4, she's terrific. She's absolutely terrific. I love watching her play. I'm going to get her name right so I don't have, well, you don't even know. No, I don't know. Oh, yeah, Van Leeuw. She's awesome. She's fantastic. There's nobody, Haley Van Leeuw, there's nobody that's a bigger advocate for women's sports than me. I say it every day. But if you don't say the words properly, oh my, did you call them girls? Hell, you can't even go to Disney and call anybody boys and girls anymore. I'm telling you, the world is absolutely freaking insane. A friend of mine just said, I had a friend named Chick. He had a muscle car. The East Coast office is the best. My East Coast office. All right, the Lions are okay with moving the number 2 pick. Duh. I'd get rid of that number 2 pick. I'd find a quarterback. But here's the deal. This kid up here, Hutchinson, when I do the show, I've got a camera right here, a laptop here. I've got a screen here where I look at my ugly ass self. I hate it. I wish I could get the return on this big screen. And then over here, I've got my television on. So I see if there's any breaking news and I can report on it. Well, what's the guy's name? Aidan Hutchinson. What the hell's his name? Whatever the hell his name is, Hutchinson, the kid from Michigan who was absolutely god-awful in the college football playoffs. He's walking in his uniform flexing, and I'm thinking to myself, the same thing Father Ward told me at Andrean High School when I was rubbing my biceps. He goes, hey, Dakich, don't worry, water them, they'll grow. I felt the same way. I felt the same way about frickin' Aidan Hutchinson. Don't do that. Don't do that. I don't even know if his name is Aidan, whatever the hell his name is. Hutchinson. He got dominated. And I don't like him. Not sure why I don't like him. He's a college kid. I should like him. But when I watch him, I'm like, yeah, okay. So if you've got the 2nd pick in the draft, if you have this number 2 pick in the NFL draft, who the hell are you drafting? Hey, you know that Willis kid, he really moved up. Oh, really? It makes you wonder, will the NFL and Roger Goodell tell teams who to draft based on diversity? Will they say, hey, look, this Willis, he needs to be drafted ahead? I mean, if you're telling everybody that you got to hire people based on diversity, do you have to draft people now based on diversity? Of course, people are going to say, no, of course not. Really? All right. If you think so, but I wonder. I don't know. Hutchinson, maybe he's Joey Bosa. Maybe he's Aaron Donald, but I don't see it. So if I have the number 1 or number 2 pick in the draft, man, that's like a pox. You got to pay a dude. You got to, even more importantly, all right, even more importantly, these guys that you would draft number 1 and number 2, and you can go all through their the mock lists. You got to listen to them. Now, I want you to think about this. One of the worst things about coaching and general managing is you got to listen to players. It's like I tell young coaches, nobody wants to hear a young coach talk. Truthfully, if we're all being honest, when you're sitting there and you're an adult and players start talking, I don't know. That's why I go with the Tony Kornheiser theory on my radio show. I really don't want players on my radio show. I don't really want players here. The only player that I want is Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson is an interesting dude. Duncan Robinson is a really interesting dude. So I want him on my show, somebody like that. Draymond Green, when I was working in the Big Ten or I was working for ESPN doing Big Ten games, Draymond Green I liked. I liked talking to Draymond Green. He was an interesting interview. But if you're drafting somebody number 1 because, well, frankly, somebody's got to go number 1, I want it to be like John Elway. Or I want it to be like, I don't know, who was number 1 last year? Do we even know? I don't know. Somebody that I know is going to elevate the franchise to a different level. Like if Aaron Donald was the number 1 pick, you'd go, hey, man, I'll listen to you. But I don't want to have to listen to a number 1 draft choice talk about being a number 1 draft choice when everybody and their mother knows he ain't a number 1 draft choice. It's only a matter that the draft stinks. So I'm getting rid of that number 2 pick. Like Curb Your Enthusiasm, out of spite. I'm getting rid of it out of spite because I don't want to listen to the number 2 draft pick talking about it. I don't want to listen to it because I know he's not really a number 2 draft pick. He's a guy we had to pick number 2. Number 2 draft. Well, we're really. It's like I recruited a kid in Indiana named Robbie Foster. Could not play dead. Couldn't play a lick. I mean, not a lick. But Coach Knight, this is a true story. Coach Knight saw him running at Fairfax High School in Los Angeles. Saw him running like the coach, Harvey Katana. So Knight's like, go out and see Robbie Foster. Tell me what you think. He's playing 3-on-3. He can't play a lick. Not dead. Knight still likes him. So we bring in Robbie Foster on a visit. And we're sitting on a couch and Knight's talking to him. And Robbie Foster looks at Knight and he goes, Coach, you give me a scholarship. I guarantee you we win 2 national championships. And that's what I did. Robbie Foster, I don't think ever played a minute at Indiana. Robbie Foster got to Indiana, decided he was going to skip a workout in the morning and send a note from his, quote, doctor. Think about that. He was going to send a note from his doctor. The note said, hey, please excuse Robbie Foster. We checked him out this morning. Well, unbeknownst to Robbie, our trainer knows every doctor. There was no doctor by whatever the hell the guy's name is. That's just talk. And that's what whoever is the first or second pick in the draft is. Just talk. They're the draft choice because somebody's got to get drafted. So I'm sitting there, and if I'm the Detroit Lions, I'm like, I ain't listening to this crap. Give me a quarterback. Give me somebody else. Hell, I don't know. Let's do that. I don't need a Robbie Foster. I don't even know if Robbie Foster played college basketball anywhere. I'd have to look. I'm sure he went back to All right. But my scouts say Hutchinson's a badass. Would have gone ahead of Kwity Paye. All right, never mind. If he would have come out earlier. 14 sacks, 6.5 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles as a senior. Kwity Paye had 11.5 sacks over his entire career. Oh, boy. Never mind. No, he's not. I'm telling you he's not. He got to play against Maryland, although so did Kwity Paye. I got to rethink this. He got to play against Indiana, when Indiana was absolutely awful. Yeah, that's right. If the guy who just sent me that text says that Hutchinson is a badass, Hutchinson is a badass. Period. That's what I got. So I rescind everything. No, I don't. No, I refuse to admit it. I will not admit that this is anything other than a mistake. Trade the second pick. None of these guys are any good. None of these guys. Look, I go by, do I want him coming to the Colts? And the answer is, yeah, I don't care. I got Kwity Paye. I got Kwity Paye in a media that fawns. Do I have the great Clay Travis now? I like it. All right, let's go through a few things. Before, I don't have you for long. You're a man about town. You're nice enough to join us, and we appreciate it. Your Final Four thoughts. What are you thinking in this Final Four?
I love Duke UNC being able to play again, even though I understand some people are tired of the Coach K farewell tour. I think that's a pretty fabulous matchup. I tend to think that UNC, has been matching up well with Duke. I watched the Coach K goodbye game. I like the way UNC is playing down the stretch. I like UNC as the underdog there with the points. On the other side, Kansas really seems to have hit their stride, and I know Jay Wright's team has been dominant in the postseason. I think the stat is, you know better than me, that these 4 teams represent 7 of the last 13 national championships. And certainly will be 8 of 14 before all is said and done. And we know UNC and Duke and Kansas are blue bloods. And Jay Wright, I think, and honestly, it's underrated what he's been capable of achieving at Villanova because, and again, you're the college basketball expert, but Villanova was kind of the team that stole the upset win over Georgetown back in the day. And otherwise was kind of an afterthought. I know I went to school on the East Coast, the Philly college basketball universe, and the Big Five and how those matchups all go is pretty fantastic from a college basketball standpoint. But up until the last, 12 or 13 years, it doesn't feel like Villanova had ever mattered on a major national stage other than that one run back in 1985, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. And so to me, this is Villanova kind of trying to establish, as they're in this sort of tall universe of dominant programs, that they are an elite one. And I think the question is, do they have staying power if Jay Wright were to leave? And I'm not sure what the answer to that is. But to me, it's a pretty good Final Four. And I know everybody out there always says, oh, we want more Cinderellas, we want more underdogs. What the public overwhelmingly shows us based on their viewership is they want the blue blood programs. And it makes sense, right? Because by the time you get to the Final Four, when you're bringing in a lot of casual fans, people want to have an opinion. Love them or hate them, everybody has an opinion on Duke and Kansas to a certain extent. And that's good for college basketball. You have to pick a side. You either love or hate one of these programs. And ultimately, I think that's going to lead to a probably pretty significant amount of interest as we roll into Saturday and Monday.
Tell you this, man, you're Hubert Davis. You eliminate K from coaching. You win a Final Four game against K, and you eliminate lifetime contract, man. Just let's go.
It's one of those things that's so great is rivalry games matter, obviously, on a different level, as every fan understands. what is the value of winning the final game at Cameron Indoor with Coach K? And then what would the value be to legitimately ending his career with a loss in the Final Four? 40 regular season games, 50 regular season games, right? What is the multiple of importance for this Final Four game as it pertains to the overall rivalry? I think there's a lot of people out there that would say, okay, I would trade, certainly 10, maybe 20 years of losses in rivalry games to be able to win potentially one national championship and advance to a national championship game by beating your biggest rival on the biggest possible stage in the Final Four. So that to me is a really intriguing and fun debate from a sports fan perspective.
Yeah, and the deal is this, man. I mean, you when you're at North Carolina, you're at Duke, and you're an iconic program, you rarely, if ever, have the chance to have the greatest whatever, meaning the greatest win ever, the greatest weekend ever. And I can make the argument, right? Carolina, they win this national championship, and they do it through Duke for the first time they've ever played the NCAA tournament. You can make the argument this would be the greatest weekend in North Carolina basketball history. You can make that argument.
Certainly the joy of watching Coach K walk off as a loser would be amazing to end his career. Flip side, though, that's why I say it's such high risk, high reward. If he wins and his final, potential, certainly ACC game, but final game rivalry all time, the loss at Cameron Indoor really gets erased in many people's minds, I think. So from a Duke fan perspective, I would think you also like it. But again, the risk reward is just so massive in both respects.
That's what I love about it. Hey, what's Disney? I don't have you for long. I got to get it. What the hell is Disney doing here? What are they doing?
I think they've lost their way. And I think this is bigger picture. One of the issues that arises with big companies now, there are about 5%, maybe 10% of people that are super woke. Let's start here. I don't know. I mean, I grew up going to Walt Disney World. We would stay at the campground. My parents that was our family vacations, and we would go to Epcot and we'd go to the Magic Kingdom. That was what my parents liked to do with us, my sister and I, when we were young. And as a part of like the fireworks display or the lights parade or whatever else, they would always say, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, right? To try to speak to everybody that was there. And Disney has decided that isn't inclusive enough, because evidently there are some people who refuse to acknowledge either gender, right? They argue that they're neither male nor female. Well, first of all, that's scientifically inaccurate, right? Like, you're a boy or you're a girl, regardless, right? But why would you make the decision to try to respond to whatever malcontent, tiny subset of people is offended by ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, when the vast majority of the American public is not? And so I think what you're seeing is there is a over-reliance on social media and what I call the blue check brigade is obsessed about on a day-to-day basis. And if you allow them to dictate your responses, then you end up alienating far more people than you do actually placating by the choice in the first place. So I think what happens is people don't make the best decision for companies. They make the best decision for preserving their own job. And I think that's where Disney is right now. And also, I mean, so much of this is just a lie, right? I mean, we had dinner with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Buck and I did, my radio show co-host, on Tuesday night in Florida. And obviously that's when this thing really was kind of taking off. But you've got kids. I've got kids. I had public school kids. I have public school kids now. I don't think it's controversial to say that kindergartners, first graders, second graders, and third graders shouldn't be instructed in sex-related issues, whether it's gay issues, transgender issues, straight sex, whatever it is. Like, 5 to 8 year olds don't really need to have that as a part of their instruction. Let's focus on math. Let's focus on reading. Let's focus on the bare bones, the basics of education. And the fact that this has somehow ended up being controversial most parents say, yeah, that makes sense. The fact that we need to have a law to protect against the instruction of sex-related issues for kindergarten through third grade seems to me to be a sign of how much we're getting wrong. But that's where we are right now with this craziness going on in Disney. And I think, candidly, a lot of people are canceling Disney Plus as a form of protest because Disney is the preeminent children's entertainment company in the world. And I think a lot of parents are saying, why is this company of the opinion that sex education needs to start for 5-year-olds? I think there are a lot of parents asking that question.
My daughter is, I think I've told you, the school teacher in your kid's school district.
Oh,
down
yeah.
in Tennessee. And I'm not, I don't really want to put, she's a 4th grade teacher, and I don't want to put words in her mouth, but I guarantee you she doesn't. Teachers don't want to be teaching sex education to a kindergarten, first, second,
Crazy.
third. Now you see some whack jobs, you see crazy people on Twitter that want to do it. But the majority of teachers, they want to teach what? Reading, writing, arithmetic, They don't want to teach this.
Yeah, I think that's...
So even from the other side, they don't want to do this.
I think that's 100% accurate. And one of the things that has happened, I think, as a result of COVID is, one, parents have gotten more aware and more involved in what their kids are learning on a day-to-day basis. And I think that's because so much of schooling became home based, and parents were more, the remote schooling, they were more aware maybe than they would have been in the past. And I also think that that there has been, as a part of that acknowledgement of what's going on, a lot more parents have realized that they need to be involved in their kids' education, and that there is a lot of things that have absolutely nothing to do with education at all that are a substantial portion of this story overall.
Hey, I want to, before I let you go, 2 things. One, are these companies so big that they can handle, people not necessarily boycotting? Are they so big that they can handle this? And number 2, where does this all stop?
So
where does this
yeah. So the first part of that is, I think the calculation of the companies has been, we need to placate the angry 5 or 10% that is offended by ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Because by and large, there's a lot of people, I would say, who are like me that say, hey, let's just have a content neutral space. I don't need Disney to advocate for political beliefs that I also agree with. I just want Disney to focus on making entertaining kids movies. And I want them to focus on making, if I go to Disney World, I want them to focus on making the concession line as short as possible. And I want to be able to get on Space Mountain without having to stand in line for 4 hours, right? I think that's the general consensus of most parents out there, right? In general. The question that you're asking is, are enough of those parents going to become angry by the woke genuflection, for lack of a better way of describing it, that they are willing to adjust their behavior in a way that it has some sort of substantial impact on Disney's bottom line? I would like to think so, because I think that's almost the only way to return to neutrality, right? You have to, if somebody's going to walk up, because I understand people say, well, why you even worry about stuff like this? At some point, if somebody keeps walking up, and I'm talking about it, metaphorically from a parent's perspective, if somebody just kept walking up and slapping you in the face, and you just kept saying, I don't know what we have to fight, and you consistently turn the other cheek, you get slapped, you're like, okay, I'm just gonna take it, get slapped, gonna take it. At some point, you have to say, wait a minute, this other side is not willing to engage in neutrality. They want to really kick my ass. Right. And I think a lot of people are realizing that the options are, you either throw a punch back, or you just keep getting slapped in the face and losing these fights that you don't believe should even exist. That's where I think a lot of parents are. That's where I think a lot of people are, even in the world of sports, who would like to have some form of normalcy, but just aren't able to do it.
Hey, last thing, are people watching these shows? I watch all these shows. Are people watching these? Are ratings up at ESPN, or are numbers down at Disney? I mean, do you have any sense of that?
One, the ratings matter less at this point. Disney's basically a streaming company, right? And so,
right.
How many people are like the? I would say the number one thing you could do if you're upset with Disney is cancel your Disney Plus subscription. That's the thing that would gut punch them the most. Because I think what these companies have to recognize is it's a lot easier to cancel a streaming service than it is to cancel cable, right? Like if you have cable or satellite, there's a lot involved in deciding, hey, I'm not going to have my cable service anymore. You probably got a box somewhere that you got to return. You may have, if you got satellite, you got some sort of satellite on the side of your house that you have to figure out how to turn off. It's not as easy. There's wires running into your house. You may have internet also connected to your cable and satellite subscription. There's probably a lot of people out there who are like, oh, you know what? Yeah, you're making a point. I understand that now. But canceling a streaming service is super easy, right? It's basically like a snap of the fingers. And so I am curious whether when things like this bubble up, I would love to see the data from inside of Disney right now, because I bet just based on people who are sending me messages and sending me emails, there's got to be tens of thousands of people minimum that have made the decision to cancel Disney Plus over this Disney story in general. And by the way, it might be from both sides, right? There might be people canceling because they're angry because Disney wasn't outspoken enough in favor of transgender and gay issues or whatever it is. And certainly there's people who are fired up that are canceling that way, which is why, from a business perspective, if I'm Disney, I don't want to ever make any decisions that choose in any way between one political party or the other, because we live in a 50-50 nation. And if Disney only services 50% of the country, their business doesn't exist anymore.
Right. It's a fascinating thing. I know you're busy as hell. I appreciate the 15 minutes, man. Great stuff.
Happy
Thanks,
to
Clay.
do it whenever, my man. Keep up the good work. I appreciate it. See y'all.
You got it. That's Clay Travis. Interesting stuff. We're going to keep the conversation going, man. My guy Jason Hammer's on the line. Jason, I know you were on right there. What'd you think? Uh-oh. Did I lose you? Hang on a second. What'd I do? I don't have Jason. I can't hear him in my ear. Am I screwing something up? Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Dylan, do you have... Hey, Jason,
there we go.
Me?
Now we're connected.
Hey, what you were listening. What'd you think of what Clay had to say?
Clay's right. Disney is a streaming company now. That's who they are. Listen, if you've got plans to go to Florida, to go to Disney, there's a chance you're not going to cancel that. That's a lot of money invested. You're not going to do that. But what you can do, if you're upset about the direction that company is going in, is cancel your streaming subscription. That's where Disney's making most of their money right now, the streaming services. So if you're somebody that's upset, Clay is 100% right. Cancel your streaming service.
What did you think about that? We can't say boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. What the hell what are we doing in this country?
Well, that's a loaded question, Coach. How much time do you have? I got
Jesus.
4 hours this
I
afternoon to talk about that. I got 4 hours every day to kind of go down that road. Listen, this is what happens when people decide to vote on things that are not serious issues, okay? Donald Trump was not elected president because he was unlikable. He had mean tweets. Let's be honest. That was really the main thing. He was not likable. I, on the other hand, I'm not somebody that needs to be friends with my president. I'm never going to hang out with him. I'm never going to have a beer with him. I'm never going to go to a ball game with him. I don't care if he's a rotten SOB that cheats on his wife left or right. I really don't. Can you make the economy good? Can you secure the border? Can you make sure this country has the strongest, most dominant military in the world? Those are the things that matter to me. Now, if that makes me the dinosaur, then I'm the dinosaur.
I agree. I've said forever, and this is wrong. I get it until gas prices go down and then the the Biden administration takes credit. Do me a favor, President. I don't want to hear the word inflation. Well, we've heard the word inflation, right? Hey, look, I want gas prices down. Well, gas prices are up, and I want the stock market up. For me personally, and people lose their mind. Well, you don't care about what? No, hey, look, I care about everything. I'm just telling you for my whole life, this is what I want. Why do we keep saying, Ellison Williams was great on this topic, why do we keep calling this bill in Florida the Don't Say Gay bill? It says nothing about that. What is this about?
No, this bill, and you can find it online. It's all over the place. It's 7 pages. It's 163 lines. It's 1,462 words. You can find it. You can read it. And at no point in all of that will you find the phrase, don't say gay. Coach, this has nothing to do with the gay community. That has nothing to do with the trans community. This has everything to do with Ron DeSantis, because the Florida governor is a threat. There are some places where Ron DeSantis polls better than Donald Trump in terms of who do you want to be the next president of the United States. That scares the hell out of the left. The left wants Donald Trump to run again because they can dig up all the old stuff. They can pull the whole orange man bad routine. They feel like they can beat Donald Trump again, despite all the hell that's breaking loose right now. With Ron DeSantis, it's like Trump without the baggage. It's a guy that's been loyal to his wife. It's a guy that served his country. It's a guy that has kind of said all the same things, but you don't have the baggage that Donald Trump has. And that scares the hell out of the left. So this is their attempt to make Ron DeSantis the boogeyman here, this anti-gay boogeyman. And if you watch the national news coverage of this bill, it's funny how they conveniently leave out the fact that it's kindergarten through 3rd grade. We're not talking about a high school civics class. We're not talking about some sort of junior, senior, 17, 18-year-old discussion. Kindergartners and 3rd graders. I think if you ask most people in this country, do you want your kindergartner to learn about sex, to talk about sex, to know what transgender is, to know non-binary and all this crap, it's going to be an overwhelming no. And the left knows that. And this is why they're trying their damnedest to make Ron DeSantis the boogeyman, try to jump out in front of it.
Man, I've said forever, if Sister Geraldine came up to me and my boys and girls in grade school in 3rd grade and said, "How boys, girls, we want to talk to you about whether you're a boy or a girl." Shut up. We're going out and playing. And hey, look, and that's probably insensitive.
Who gives a damn?
Maybe there
Who gives a damn if it's insensitive? It's time for parents to stop worrying about being sensitive, Coach. I'm a parent. My kids are older now. But if I had a kindergartner and I saw this teacher, gay teacher, outspokenly gay teacher on MSNBC the other night, complaining, physically and verbally complaining that he can't talk to his kindergartners anymore about his social life on the weekends because of this bill from Ron DeSantis. When the hell did these teachers start talking about their love life with the kindergartners? When I was a kindergartner, I don't remember any of this crap. Did this happen and we weren't aware of it? It's ridiculous, Coach. And the parents have to step up and be the ones that say, I don't care what ist you want to call me here. We're not going to talk about who you dated over the weekend to my kindergartner through my 3rd grader. Please teach them English. Please teach them math. If they have any problems with reading, please let me know. I appreciate what you do. But the minute you start talking about your personal life, your dating life, who you went on a paddle boat date with, we're going to have a situation here, and I have no problem being the bad guy.
How do you, as a teacher, even give a rat's ass about talking to kindergartens about that? I saw that interview, and I'm sitting there going, well, why would you even, why? This guy was all sad, or he tried to act all sad. Right. Shut up. Honest to God, like, why would you? Well, you know, my daughter's a 4th grade teacher, and I can't imagine that she wants to talk about this stuff. I can't imagine there's a world where a teacher, other than some bleeding heart, whiny ass, I'm no good at my job, so I'm trying to change I don't even know what you're trying to do. It just makes me insane.
Did you ever care?
That folks
Did you ever care what your teacher was doing on the weekends? Like maybe when you got into high school, and you're like, hey, that teacher's kind of hot. that kind of thing. But from kindergarten through high school, did you ever give a blue rat's ass about what your teacher was doing over the weekend? I know I didn't.
The only thing I remember in first grade was the girl next to me peeing. That's what I remember. Kids in my school, I went to Catholic school, girl wore a skirt. I looked over, I'm not going to say her name, and she peed on the floor. And I remember the teacher telling me later how nice I was that I didn't embarrass her. I went and talked to the teacher privately. That's literally the only thing. If some dude or some lady is sitting there going, even if they're heterosexual, I don't even care. Hey, you know what? My girlfriend and I, we went, I'm in kindergarten.
Right.
I'm in first grade.
Coach,
Jesus,
it was a different time back
hell?
then, because I also have a pee story. Around second grade, there was a young lady that got sent to the corner because she was acting up, and she really had to go. And I think the teacher forgot about her, so she went on the floor. And this was, again, around second grade. So the teacher made her go to the bathroom, come back with these soiled underpants, put them on the register in the classroom so they were dry. So these pee panties were wafting up with the heat in the classroom, Coach.
Now that I'm not into. But hey, God dang, hey, let me tell you about my canoeing trip with my boyfriend this weekend, and I don't care if you're a guy or a girl. All right. When's this craziness going to stop?
Midterms is probably the first step toward it, but let's not give the Republicans like all the benefit of the doubt here. Because when Donald Trump was elected president, he had all of the things, and the Republicans still found a way to screw it up, because there's always going to be a Mitt Romney in the Senate. There's always going to be a little guy like Kinzinger in the House that stirs the pot. They're going to have to find a way to come together. It can't be so dysfunctional. Like, we're sitting here laughing at the hellhole that the Democrats are. Like, it's a party divided. You've got the super leftist lunatics, and you've got Joe Biden, who doesn't know what day it is. But at the same time, the Republicans, when they have power, what would you say you do here?
Let me ask you, if I'm a Republican candidate, I'm not going to sleep. You can't go to sleep in this new voting age that we have. You better stay the hell awake, and you better get some people at those polls, because I'm looking at this and 81 million votes, and don't anybody ever tell me there's no such thing as voter fraud. I grew up in Northwest Indiana. A good friend of mine, I've said this forever, is in frickin' Greece, after getting not only indicted, but tried and convicted in federal court of voter fraud. He took off to Greece. There's no Interpol. Don't tell me. A guy came to my house to try to sign up the lot next to our house to vote. There was no house on that lot. My dad said, hey, I'm not going to say the guy's name. He was a friend of my dad. We don't own the lot. The people next door own the lot. Don't tell me there's no such thing as voter fraud. So you Republicans, and I do mean this, Jason, that think that the midterms are going to be such a breeze, you better get your ass up. You better stay up all night, because all of a sudden, out of somebody's freaking glove box, there's going to be 1,000 votes show up. Don't at me, people, because that happens, and I don't want to hear it. There you go.
And prior to that, it's these wishy-washy, soft Republican governors that allow all of this to happen. Right? When we saw what happened in Georgia with the election, the pallets full of ballots that they found at 3 a.m., like, was anybody surprised about that? No. You know whose fault that was?
No.
It wasn't anybody's fault except for the soft-ass governor of Georgia. Brian Kemp was the one that allowed all of this ballot harvesting crap to go down, because he's scared to death of fighting against Stacey Abrams. He's scared to death against, being called some sort of ist. And he's not the only one. Indiana has a really soft-ass Republican governor too. So again, much like the Disney conversation, much like the parents conversation, politics go the same way. You have to reach that breaking point to where you just don't care what people say anymore. You have to do with what you think is right.
Friend of mine just sent me a text. I was born in East Chicago. How can I not be a little crooked? It's exactly right.
How many governors went to federal prison?
In the state of Illinois.
Right.
Everyone, right?
I mean, there was a stretch there where like 5 out of
Bogdanovich,
7, I believe, went to federal pound me in the you-know-what prison. We're not talking about some halfway house. We're talking about some real crooked kind of stuff going on here.
Yeah, Blagojevich had to take off his hairpiece. What? I mean, what? What are we doing? Maybe it wasn't a hairpiece. I don't know. But hey, look, I want everybody to look me in the eye. I get called an ist every single day. Who cares?
Right.
Just be honest. Just be a human being. Just be people. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm with you, Coach. I'm with you. It's an interesting time. And if you're not afraid to stand up and speak out, please do so. Because if you sit back, what did the left say all during the summer of love, right? 2020. Silence is compliance. Okay, well, I'm going to take that same approach and I'm going to use that to school board meetings. I'm going to take that same approach and I'm going to use it to my local elections, my midterm elections, and of course the national.
Yeah, is science compliance, you women's groups in Cleveland, when all of a sudden Deshaun Watson, with not 1, not 10, not 15, not 20, not 21, but 22 civil cases, is science compliance in that? I don't know, man. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. All right. How about this? Guy says, hey, can you guys not talk about little girls peeing so much? All I know is that's the only thing I remember in first grade. First grade, that's
I mean, I'm sorry.
That's all I remember.
That kind of traumatized me. It traumatized me a little bit. The wafting aroma of peed-on panties in the classroom. And it was December, so the heat was on. So the heat is like cooking the pee in the room.
Oh, and that's the point is, first grade. That's what you think. That's anyway. I guarantee you, everybody that is listening to this is not. I know in third grade I learned how to go multiply this, and you got to get to this, and it was a pain in the ass. I also know my friend Freddie Viana, who's a big shot attorney in Indy, called my show, and he said it's the first time I ever saw somebody flip another person off when I flipped off Sister Geraldine in third grade. True story. My parents were third grade teachers in Gary, Indiana. I went to this little Catholic school. How about this meeting? How about in third grade having to go to Sister Anastasia, getting kicked out of Sister Geraldine's class, me and Andy Atar, moved into Mrs. Jacobs' class, and your parents come in and your mother's a third grade teacher.
What?
And the nun says, Sister Geraldine says, Mrs. Dakich, your son Daniel is the worst student I've ever had in 35 years of teaching, and my mother was a third grade teacher.
Wow.
Bad business.
To be the worst student in Gary, to be the problem kid in the Gary area, what the hell is wrong with you?
I was strong back then. I was strong. Me and Andy Atar. Andy would flip pencils into the ceiling, and I would flip off a nun. What a world we live in. All right, let's make some money. You're 9-3 on this show, big boy. We got the Final Four coming up. As they say in that one song, give it to me, baby.
Oh, we're going to give it to you, Coach. We're going to start with Rock Chalk Jayhawk, the Fighting Scott Pollards of Kansas. Shout out to my buddy Scott. I'm going to lay the 4.5 here. Listen, Villanova has been really good. I like the Gillespie kid, but he's not going to be the best player on the floor. The Abaji kid's going to be the best player on the floor here. Villanova, normally they can out-coach, out-basketball teams, right? Like, they know their system. They know what they want to accomplish. They're not going to be able to do that against Kansas. Kansas does what Villanova does, but I think they do it with better athletes. I think this is a close game. I can even see Villanova getting out to a little bit of a lead early. But we saw with Kansas the second half, when they decide that it's winning time, it's winning time. I'll lay the 4.5 and give you the Jayhawks, Coach.
Yeah, look, I'm with you on that, by the way. And it's not like Villanova, and to your point about the first half, it's not like Nova's just going to lay down because Justin Moore's hurt. I mean, look, they didn't have Colin Gillespie last year. I mean, let's be honest. I'm all in on that one too. I think ultimately, throughout the course of the game, both teams terrific defensively. I think I'll give the 4.5. I'd like to get rid of that hook, but I'm with you. All right, over/under 151, North Carolina Duke. You nail over/unders, by the way. You are over/under man.
Well, now that you completely jinxed the hell out of me, I'm going to tell you that I'm going to ride the under on this one here. The public is in on the over. All these experts are saying over. To me, I'm looking at this as this is the third time these teams have played. This is a game that nobody wants to lose. I mean, nobody wants to lose a Final Four game, but Duke and North Carolina, Coach K trying to get revenge here. I think you're going to see a physical basketball game here. I don't think you're going to see the run and gun, the alley-oops that you would normally associate with these two teams. I think you're going to see teams that want to smack each other in the mouth. You're going to see Banchero. You're going to see Manek. I love this matchup of the big guys here. Third time they're meeting, things slow down. Every coach knows what the other team is wanting to do. 151 is a big number. There's a lot of talent on the floor, but I think you get out to a slow start. This is kind of a slugfest, and I'm going to ride the under on this one.
Yeah, I'm staying away from that, but I see what you're saying. I do think a slow start is what's going to happen, but I also think both of these teams can get up and down, obviously. Let's see, 87-67, so that was 154, and 91-81, so history is against you, but I don't disagree with a slow start, which could end up being a 72-70 game, something like that. I'm not touching that over-under, but I understand what you're saying, and you, in fact, are Mr. Over-Under. You're Mr. Degenerate Bet, and you're Mr. Over-Under. Brady Manek, you like a little Brady Manek in this, eh?
I like this rebound prop here. You can find this most sports books. Over or under 5 rebounds for Brady Manek. The big transfer from Oklahoma, who's been huge for North Carolina. As big as the dude is, as active as the dude is, if he stays out of foul trouble, 5 rebounds will find their way to Brady Manek. If he can stay on the floor, he's got a tough matchup defensively, but when you look at his rebound totals throughout this NCAA tournament, they've been over 5. So I have no reason to believe that in this game where Duke's going to get a lot of shots up, Duke's not a team that's willing to take the air out of the basketball, but I think the opportunity is going to be there for the big fella if he can stay out of foul trouble. I'm going to take a flyer and go over 5 rebounds for Manek.
I like that. There's 2 really good rebounders in this. I think Mark Williams for Duke is a really good rebounder, and I think Baycott is a really good rebounder. But to your point, I do think this is going to be a little up and down. I do think there's going to be a lot of missed shots, and I do think that Manek could be around it because Manek is a pretty good offensive rebounder too. Defensive rebounds aren't the only way to rebound. I'll tell you something else. I think there'll be some free throws in this game where, because both teams like to get the ball into the paint. They like to touch the paint off the drive. And, hey, a rebound free throw, guess what that counts as? A rebound!
And the dude likes to mix it up, man. Dude likes to mix it up. Got tossed out of a game a couple games ago. Not afraid to throw some elbows. Not afraid to mix it up a little bit. Doesn't care what All-American Duke's got lined out there. This is why he went to North Carolina. This is why he transferred. I think 5 is very doable here.
I do too. Hey, who do you got winning the national championship?
Kansas. I think Kansas is the best team in the tournament. I had them to win in my bracket earlier. I just think that backcourt, man, they're solid. They can defend. They're well coached. And the road for Kansas was paved pretty easy, right? Of all the number 1 seeds, I know they weren't number 1 Gonzaga, but I thought Kansas had the easiest road to the Final Four. And now you're getting Villanova, which is going to be challenging. But, man, I think Kansas is the cream of the crop here.
Yeah, I think Justin Moore being out, if you got to play in the Final Four, Jay Wright told me on my show in Indy earlier this week that he thinks Justin Moore, he knows Justin Moore is their best player. And you take that out, you take the best player out on a team you're playing in the Final Four. Let me tell you something, Hammer Time. You take that every minute of every day.
And take a look at the under. Take a look at the under on Gillespie's point total, too. Because if you're Kansas, now you can basically just isolate on Gillespie and make somebody else beat you.
Great stuff today, man. I really appreciate you taking a few minutes. You can hear it. What do you got on your show today? 3 to 7 WIBC in Indy.
3 to 7, 93 WIBC. And then I'm doing my sports betting program right after that program, 7 to 8 on 107.5, The Fan in Indianapolis. If you're watching somewhere outside of Indy, stream the bejesus out of it.
Yeah, just stream. What do you got on the show on IBC? Who you got?
My normal co-host is out. He's on spring break. So I've got former Colts cheerleader Mindy Winkler filling in for my radio partner. So I'm going to see how close I can get to being sent to HR today, Coach.
Oh, jeez. Again?
Again.
Again, I know you got a hit. Appreciate the time, my friend.
Thank you.
That is Jason Hammer, at Jason Hammer. You can follow him on Twitter. It's a terrific show on WIBC 93.1 in Indianapolis. A fantastic, fantastic show. It's called Hammer and Nigel. And look, if you want to know politics, and they're not, look, here's the deal with guys like me. I don't have a political party. I mean, I know people say you're an ist. I know that. Okay, fine. I don't. I'm common sense. Like, I don't understand being married to an ideology of a political party. I just don't understand that. I grew up, everybody was Democrat. My father was a lobbyist for the teachers union in Indiana. I get older and I don't care. Like, I'm trying to do my thing. You do whatever you do. Now you get a little bit older and you see what's happening in the world. You try to do common sense. It's that simple. The ideology of you got to be on the left, you got to be on the right, it just drives me nuts. I don't understand it. I would imagine both parties have smart things to say if you really dig deep enough. I know both parties have idiotic things to say. So think for yourself. That's why I'm so happy to be here on Outkick. When I was at ESPN, you couldn't talk. Oh man, Seth Greenberg and I actually tweeted during a debate, and it was like, "Well, you guys can't do that." Really? All right. I mean, and if you didn't have guys like Jalen Rose, if you didn't have all these guys that are still trying to divide you. We got the first so-and-so to do. Okay, great. Treat everybody you like. Treat everybody the same. How about we do that? Ball State's got a new coach. Ball State's coach is a man named Mike Lewis. I love Mike Lewis. I recruited Mike Lewis to be a basketball player at Indiana. If you want to see who Mike Lewis is, Google Mike Lewis, Bob Knight. You'll see Mike Lewis screaming at Bob Knight in a huddle. It wasn't either's finest moment, but that's all right. The truth of the matter is Mike became a terrific head coach. Mike was the assistant coach at UCLA these last couple of years. They went on a magical Final Four run. Mike then took the Ball State job. Mike is now the head coach at Ball State. He just started there a week ago, and I want to have Mike on. He's coming on in a couple of minutes, and we're going to talk to Mike about Final Four runs, why Ball State, what he sees in this Final Four, and what he sees ahead for the Ball State Cardinals. Mike Lewis is a great dude. I cannot wait to talk to him. I cannot wait for you all to meet him. Chirp, chirp is what Ball State's thing is. I think Indiana's got Hoosiers, I think. I also know that, I don't know. Man, my man Hammer make you nuts, right? People react. All right, when we come back, Mike Lewis, the head coach, Ball State, we're going to continue to break down the Final Four. And at the end of this show, I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm betting on this weekend, including, you're going to have to go to my Twitter to know about the women's tournament. I'm not sure about that yet. We'll be right back. There's a lot of reasons I wanted to have this guy on, Mike Lewis. One, he became the head coach at Ball State. And for those of you that know anything about college basketball, Ball State is one of those programs in the MAC that is a national program. People know Ball State. A lot of it's David Letterman, but a lot of it's a run with Chandler Thompson back in the 90s. A lot of it was a Maui Classic run in 2002. Mike Lewis has been an assistant coach a lot of places, most recently at UCLA. Now he's the head coach. I don't know if you can tell or not, but Mike Lewis is at Ball State. Can anybody tell by the background where Louis is right now? It's awesome. Yes.
Hey, I told you before I wanted to do this in my office, but there is zero decorations in there. I need all the help I can to look good. So I just thought I'd come up here and sit behind it or in front of this thing.
Yeah, let's pub it, baby. There'll be about 100,000 people view this by the time we're done. Let's get out. Let's get them in front. All right, you're at UCLA, Mecca, that kind of stuff. Why Ball State, Louis?
The leadership, honestly, like Beth Getz, Jeffrey Mearns, like their vision for how they see a basketball program fitting into a university, the possibility of elevating not only an athletic department, but helping elevate a university. Just their vision for what a program can mean kind of fell in line with what I've been looking for and what I think a basketball program can mean to a university. So, to have that type of alignment, I think was huge for me. They want basketball to be good. I'm obviously not coming here to lose. So I want to try to build a program and do it the right way, win games and enhance a university. Like I told them when we were talking about the job, like this, I'm different. I'm not like a lot of these other guys. Like I don't want to just be known as a basketball coach. Like I want to make a much larger impact on Ball State and Muncie than just trying to go win a few basketball games.
And what is that vision? What is your vision? When you lay it out in front of the players, what are you telling them?
Well, one, we want to win. We want to build a winning program. And so, they asked like what I'm about. I said, I'm about winning. You need to be about winning. If there's anything in your life that doesn't equate to winning, whether that's on the court, in the classroom, in the community, you need to eliminate it. And anything that is good and positive about what you're trying to do and can equate to winning, like we have to build upon that. So I'm about winning in every aspect of life. I'm about it. I want to recruit overachieving, tough, competitive guys that love basketball and love to compete. And I think if you have those guys in your program, you can accomplish everything you want. And I'm not talking about just winning games. Like I think you can do the things that you want. You put these guys in position to be successful in life. Because that's really, to me, that's what this is all about. That's why I love coaching college basketball. You're with a group of guys at an age where they're starting to figure things out on their own. And I think you can have a real impact on what they can accomplish in the next 30 or 40 years. And that's why I do this at this level.
And you're coming home. I mean, is that a big deal?
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, obviously, for my wife and I living in Los Angeles, it's a lot different in Jasper, Indiana now. Like you've been to Jasper, brother. Like it's different. But for my wife and I, and we got, 2 daughters, like unbelievable experience to live in Los Angeles and for them to have that in their life. Right. But to have the ability to come back home, do it in a state that I'm very familiar with and a state that is familiar with me, is special. I think that's set up for success in our program. I know where to find the staff. I know where to find players. I know who the guys are who are the power brokers in basketball. I know the high school coaches. I know the AAU coaches. I know the guys that I'm going to recruit are going to be well prepared for college because of the coaching that they're getting at a young age.
Hey, Mike, when you take over a job, what's the first thing you got to do?
Well, I don't know if it's what I have to do, but this is what I've done. Like I've just tried to spend as much time and be around these players as much as possible. I've got 4 guys in the portal. I completely understand that. Like I'm not upset with them. Like I get it. I'm sure I got young guys that probably went through the full gamut of emotions like anger, fear, doubt, uncertainty, all the things when a change was made. And it's my job to get to know them in order for me to lead them. And so I've got to wrap my arms around them, learn about them, learn about what they want to become. And in turn, in doing that, they will learn about me and realize that all is the best place for them.
When you come over, like you were, you mentioned being in LA, Calabasas, you and I, you're an Indiana guy. What can you take from being around? Let's just take Mick Cronin. What can you take that you learned from Mick Cronin that you're going to bring to Ball State?
Well, it was different than any other experience I've had. For instance, like when I went to Butler with Brad, he's coming off his second Final Four. He's already got his program established. It's just rolling along, right? They're just winning games, recruiting at a high level. Being a part of what Mick did at UCLA is I was coming in on the front end. I'm hearing a bunch of background noise. Are you hearing the same thing?
Yeah, yeah, I am. Can we do something about that, Dylan? I'm hearing Mike in and out. Is something wrong? Did I screw something up? I feel like I always screw something up.
That's perfect.
All right. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. Yeah, go ahead.
So when I got to UCLA, my guys are back here in the background laughing, so they got me laughing. I was dying there. I was trying to concentrate and listen to all that. No, so when I got to UCLA, I was on the front end of that. And so, it's very similar to what I'm dealing with here at Ball State. We had the same thing at UCLA, and watching and being a part of Mick establish his program, how he wanted to operate, how we were going to win from the front end, I think is going to be invaluable for me going through this, because what I learned, like you have a standard of how you want to operate, and you hold guys to that standard. And we didn't have success early. Like we were, just above 500 just after Christmas. We got in the middle of January, and all of a sudden it clicked, and we reeled off a bunch of wins, put ourselves in position to be in the NCAA tournament. But he never gave in. Like he never sacrificed how he wanted to operate to try to rev some guys up to win one game. Because he knew his vision for his program and where he wanted it to be, in the future, and he wasn't going to sacrifice any of that to try to win one game. He was about winning long term and what he wanted in his program. He knew how he won. He knew the type of people he wanted in the program. And so to be on the front end of that and then have the opportunity to try to emulate that here at Ball State is probably what I will take from him the most, because it's what's going to help me the most as I get started here.
One of the things I don't think people understand is that Ball State may have the best facilities, because Purdue's put $100 million, Indiana redid those. But Ball State's done as good a job as any school in the Midwest with their facilities. I mean, you're not coming into a place.
You're not coming into a place that's a dump. I mean, you're coming into a big time environment.
Well, when I walked in our practice facility, I was blown away. I was not expecting that. I told the guys that in the meeting. I was like, look, man, that thing you got over there where you guys get to work out 24/7 and have complete access to it to work on your game, like that is just as good as anything we had at UCLA. And the building at UCLA is 4 or 5 years old. Steve got that built right at the end. It is big time. The only difference is it doesn't have 11 national championship banners hanging in it, right?
Right.
But the space and what's in there, I couldn't think of anything else you need, right? So they've got a place. College basketball players are concerned. They're pretty simple people when it comes down to it. Now, the people around them sometimes get a little bit more complicated, as you know, but the players themselves are
right.
Pretty simple. Like, hey, where do I get a hoop? Where do I eat? Where do I sleep? Like where am I working out? Where am I sleeping? Where am I eating? If those things are good, I'm good. And I think we have that at Ball State.
You coached in the Final Four a year ago. The Final Four is this weekend. Walk me through, like how does this week go from a coaching staff perspective leading up to Saturday night?
Well, I think it was easier for us being in the bubble because it eliminates a lot of distractions. We didn't have to fly home after winning an Elite Eight game and deal with all that. Parents, family, friends, all those things had no access to our guys at the hotel because they couldn't get in. Now I'm sure their phones were blowing up and different things, but it was probably much different than what they're experiencing this year. But the preparation, all that stuff never changes. It's like, you always prepare to play the best team on your schedule. Regardless of where you are in the season, you're preparing to compete against the best team on your schedule. So we, other than not being able to go outside, we try to keep things, pretty simple for our guys last season. We just nothing changed as far as a preparation standpoint, how we went about our scouting, how we went about our practice, and the things that we did to lead up into the game. We kept the same. I think basketball players are creatures of habit. Whenever you can kind of keep them in their regular routine, the better off. But things were a lot easier for us because I believe we were in the bubble. So we didn't have to worry about anybody, walking around New Orleans, going down on Bourbon Street to check out the sites. So it was a little bit easier for us. I just hope nobody gets arrested this week. That's the thing. You put a Final Four in New Orleans,
right.
like I just hope no coach loses his job because he did something silly. You got to be careful with that in New Orleans now. Different things down there.
Mike, in 1987, I was handcuffed in the back of a squad car after he won national championship. I was going downtown, and only a federal judge happened to see me in line, talk the cops out of taking me downtown. I was in cuffs, in the back of a car, ready to go.
Hey, but obviously you didn't really care though. You had a natty in your hands, and you were good, man. That's a national championship. You're good.
Mike. Yeah, but when they slapped those cuffs on, I cared a little, and I thought about, man, a New Orleans jail. Oh, jeez.
Hey, I can only imagine. I don't care how old you are. Like, to have to walk up to Coach Knight, whether you're a player or a coach, and be like, "Hey, man, we got a problem."
Ooh, and I'm the problem. Hey, I didn't mind telling Coach Knight we got a problem if you were the problem. I didn't want to be the problem.
Speaking of being a problem, do you remember my freshman year? I had some turnover issues, man, and I was throwing that ball all around in practice, and Coach got mad at you because you recruited me, and he was like, "Hey, the next time Louis throws it away, you and him are both running stairs, and you like walk behind me, and he's like, just shoot it every time. Shoot it before you turn it over."
Yes, I do. And I appreciate, I can't remember. I had to run a lot. I can't remember if it was in. All right, Final Four, you played and coached in big rivalry games, whether it's Purdue, Indiana, USC, UCLA. Hey, look, what do you see in the North Carolina-Duke game?
I mean, I see two high-level teams. We saw, obviously, North Carolina up close and personal. We lost that game because we gave up 15 offensive rebounds. So, and Caleb Love just went absolutely nuts in the second half. So, I think that's the key. You've got to you have to stop Carolina in I don't know as much about Duke, but you have to stop Carolina in transition, and you have to keep them off the glass. If you can keep them off the glass and get them in the half court, you can simplify a lot of your defensive game plan. RJ Davis. Excellent. Caleb Love, excellent. You've got to make Manic dribble the ball. You can't like when he catches it, you've got to be in his pocket. If he beats you making plays off the bounce, he beats you making plays off the bounce. But you cannot allow him to get open looks. Your ball screen coverage obviously has to be very solid because they can put you in spots where they can spread you out with their shooters, and then. You got two guards like that can rock with the ball, man. It's difficult, and then Baycott's a problem. So, but I think that the major key is transition, make it a half-court game, and then you have to keep them off the glass and just give them one opportunity. We gave up 15 offensive rebounds. It killed us. We're up 3, minute 30, 40 left. Offensive rebound going out of bounds. Baycott makes a great save. Loose ball, bang, 3, tie game, and, it's the ball game. And I think if we get that rebound, you got the ball up 3, things change. So, it's difficult, but like what a rivalry game, and to have it on that stage, woo. And then all the things with Coach K
Mike.
too. It's going to be big.
Mike, I want to go to Baycott for a second. I've been talking about that play that he made. It's one of the most underrated plays of the entire tournament, maybe the most important play of the entire tournament. How difficult is he in the middle of the floor with those middle ball screens?
Well, he's a big human being. Like, there's not many guys on this planet as large as he is. And not only that, he's very mobile. Like he can get on and off a ball screen very quickly. He's got good hands. He can finish at the rim. He even stepped out, hit a 15-foot jump shot against us. But yeah, everybody looks at the 3 to tie the game. Like that 3 never happens if you don't have a 6'11" guy diving out of bounds to make a save. And that's
right.
The fans are all cheering the 3. The basketball people understand that is one of the best plays of the tournament because it changed the whole game. You give Mick Cronin the ball up 3 with a minute 30. We're not losing too many games now. And that play
No, and you got veteran guys. You got veteran guys that have been in that spot 100 times.
Yeah, no question. So I think that was a huge play. He is a problem because he can put pressure at the rim, and you have to account for him. And then they've got 3 guys that can really spray it from the perimeter around them. If Leaky Black is making shots, whoa, lights out. he's the one guy that you can kind of use the help off of, and you're just rolling the dice whether or not he's making shots. But when the shot goes up, you got to find him, because if you're giving a lot of help off of him and gapping off of him, when that shot goes up, he's sprinting in. You better go find him and put a body on him.
Well, you got any thoughts on Kansas, Villanova?
We played Villanova early in the year. Again, I know them because we competed against them. When I get into a season, I love college basketball, but I'm watching guys that we play and really studying our team. But Villanova, different style. You can't help off the perimeter. Like when they start back, they do the little, the guards will back you down from every position. And if you start digging in there and helping, they're backing you down to pass. Well, that's what we told our guys. They're backing you down to get you to help, to fire it out, and then they can get you in rotations and they can be a problem. So we just wanted to play the back down one-on-one. You've got to be able to hold your ground. You've got when you got to be able to wall up and make tough shots over the top of you. And you got to live with them making a bunch of tough twos. But I just don't believe you can help and give them the open rhythm threes or let them get you in a closeout where they can attack you off the bounce.
Mike, the answer to this is I want all great players, okay? So I'm going to give you the answer before I ask the question. But back in the day, it was, man, I got to get a good big guy. Then it became, I got to get a good point guard. Then it became, the most important player to recruit is a stretch four. You got to be able to shoot from the four, versatile four. In your mind, other than, hey, look, I got to have great players, what's the first position you're looking to recruit?
Well, I think what I'm looking for more than position, because what you just said, it changes all the time. But the one thing that has stayed constant, and it's why when you looked at the Sweet 16 teams, they weren't the 16 most talented teams in the tournament. But they were the 16 teams at that time that were the hardest, toughest, most disciplined, smartest teams left in the tournament. So regardless of position, what I want guys that love basketball and love to compete. If you love basketball and love to compete, you're going to have a certain level of toughness that it takes to win. If you love basketball and you love to compete, and you're open to coaching, I can get you to play smart enough and disciplined enough for us to win games. So I want guys that love basketball and love to compete, just tough dudes that love basketball and want to go out there. We'll figure it out. Like you look at St. Peter's, you give me some dudes that Shaheen Holloway had at St. Peter's, we'll go win some games now because he's got dogs, and that's what I want. Now, do I want them at different sizes? Yes. Do I want different skills? Yes. But I want the main thing. I want dudes that go out there and love to compete.
Appreciate you coming on, Mike. You going down to the Final Four?
No, man, I got stuff to do here, man. I got to be. I mean, what am I going to go down there for? For everybody to congratulate me and ask me for a job? Like, come on. Like, I need to be around.
Right.
I need to be around these guys. And just let them know what this program is going to look like and feel like and be like, and just where they get to know me, where they're much more comfortable. I don't, that's not me. I don't need to do all that stuff. And everybody's like, oh, you got all this stuff to do, all this stuff. Like, like this is not work. The day that this becomes work is the day I'm going to walk away from it. Like I'm not like these dudes. Like, how it is. You go out there and like, oh, I'm grinding. No, that guy roofing, man, he's grinding. Like I get it. Coach basketball, man. I'm having a blast, getting to know these guys, getting to know Ball State, and anything I can do to help these, help this place. They're giving me an opportunity. Like this is not work. Like this. I get to coach a game and try to teach life lessons to kids through around basketball. Like how lucky am I?
It's funny, I had Mike Bray on yesterday, and I sent him a text, hey, thanks for coming on. He goes, hey, shh, don't tell anybody, but we don't have real jobs. I don't have a real job. My deal is, woo. But, yeah, I'm glad you feel that way, because I always say it, man. I watched my freaking uncle go work in a steel mill. I watched my dad teach school, and then you have to work as a freaking iron worker in the summer. And we're going to bitch about being in Vegas watching an AAU tournament? Stop it. Stop. That's how I always feel.
I'm with Coach Bray, man. I like the day this becomes work. If my ego gets to the point where I think this is work, that's when I'll walk away. Because I've been really lucky to be around great people, and I've been stealing money for years, brother. So that's
right.
This is great.
All right, my man. Hey, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Anytime,
Thank
man.
you.
Thanks.
He's the best. I'm telling you, Mike Lewis is going to do great things at Ball State. And those of you that don't know, you're going to know, because Ball State is one of those places that is a sleeping giant, man. They have a beautiful facility. The Worthen Center is incredible. It really is. And at the end of the day, you got to have facilities. You got to have a great meal plan. You got to have a great weight coach, and you got to have a great trainer. And Ball State has all of it, and Mike Lewis is going to coach him up. I'll tell you, and if you could not, I don't know, if you could not, I don't know, what's the right word? If you can hear it in his voice, I can't help you. I really can't. What a great day we've had today. Clay Travis joined us. Mike Lewis joined us. My friend Jason Hammer joined us. We've got the road to 5,000. That's right. I told you before this tournament, I was going to make you $5,000. And right now, here's what I did. I took 250, and when I got it to 750, I took the 250 out. I think I got it to 753 or something. All right, I took it out. So right now in my account, I have, let me see, I'll tell you exactly, $4,608.36. So I am $391.64 away from getting to where I want to go, which is 5,000. Tonight, there are two basketball games. Coastal Carolina and Fresno State, and Xavier and Texas A&M. Look, these are tough games. These are very, very tough games. I'm not sure which way I would go with either of them. I don't know Fresno or Coastal Carolina. I know Coastal Carolina always plays in this tournament and they always win. As I sit here right now, I'm going to move Texas A&M to -4. I'm going to not take 4.5. The hook always kills me. I don't bet every game, but I'm going to take Texas A&M and I'm going to move it to 4. I'll give you my picks right now for the Final Four, but I reserve the right to change those picks if anybody like Louis says gets arrested or there's any problem. I'm taking Duke -4. Duke -4 is not an easy bet. It could be a 1-point game. It could be Duke's got the ball down 1, they get fouled, make 2 free. I mean, I don't know. But I'm going to take Duke and I'm going to take Kansas -4. My favorite bet of the weekend is Kansas -4. Do not panic if Kansas gets off to a bad start. Don't even think about panicking if Kansas gets off to a bad start. You saw it in the Elite Eight. This might be a bad start game, both of them. Don't panic. Louisville and South Carolina. I'm going to take South Carolina and I'm going to give the 8. This Boston is a hell of a player, man. Hell of a player. And I'm going to take Stanford -1. These two games are Friday. I'm watching Stanford, and I just see a really good basketball team. I'm watching UConn, and I see a really good basketball team. Paige Beckers is terrific, and she's back off a knee injury. Did you know with her back, before they played Indiana in the Sweet 16, UConn was winning their game. Their average margin of victory with Paige Becker was 36, over 36. Well, I'm going to take Stanford in this. Not sure why. I mean, look, if Coach K and Gino Auriemma win a national championship the same year, that's pretty damn good. That is. Here is a betting tip that I got yesterday. I got this from one of my listeners, and by the way, if you want more of all this, 107.5 The Fan. 107.5 The Fan. Wherever you stream it, just pick us up, and I'm on from noon to 3. Roy Williams is going to join me today. But in my little world, this isn't for tonight. I don't know when they play next. Bet against the Pacers. I don't care what it is. Bet against the Pacers. Pacers are in the tank. They're a fraudulent locker room. Whoever is playing is out for themselves. Halliburton will get a double-double every night. Their team will get beat. Last night, I took the Nuggets over 123.5. They got to 125. Our toes are tapping. It was another $100 in the till, and away we went. That's what we're doing in these games. Bet against the Pacers. If it's somebody that they're playing against, bet them to get a double-double. If there's a number that you think is right, meaning let's say the Pacers play, I don't know, the Nuggets, and you see the Nuggets and you think 123, take it. Chances are, if you bet the Pacers this weekend, you are going to win money. even if you lose on your NCAA bets, because let's be honest, without Justin Moore, Kansas may win by 1,000. Without Justin Moore, Villanova may have this one unbelievable game and go ahead and win. This Final Four is wacky. On paper, going back to how they played, I would say Duke, and I'm saying Duke because when all things being equal, Duke beat the brakes off Carolina. They were not equal in Cameron because of all the distractions. You've heard coaches all week talk about it. I don't know, though. Hell, North Carolina is playing great. You just heard Mike Lewis, assistant at UCLA, talking about it. But the Pacers shall set us free. No matter what you lose, figure out something to bet against the Pacers this weekend, and it will win you money. What an absolute great week we have had. The coaches we've had on, we've had I'm going to go through it all and say thanks to everybody. I mean, this is a hell of a week leading up to a Final Four. Bray was on. Boeheim was on. Who else? Mike Lewis was just on. God dang, I'm forgetting everybody that came on. Porter Mosier was just on. We had a great week here. We had a great start to our show. It's only about 6 months in, but when you go through the people that we've had on, and you're all supportive, and I can't thank you enough. We don't have a show tomorrow. We'll be back at it on Monday. But again, Ryan and Dylan and Corey, thank you all so much. Again, if you want to watch more of this, Roy Williams comes on with me at 1 o'clock Eastern time. Our show is noon Eastern till 3 Eastern, wherever you stream on 107.5. Thanks to everybody that joined us on the YouTube chat, on the Twitter chat, that's texted me during the show, that's watched wherever you're watching. Thank you all so much. Enjoy your Final Four weekend. It is absolutely going to be magnificent. Dakich, out!